Hello and thank you most kindly for joining us tonight on Daily Politics, your destination for everything about politics. I am Hamza Idris. Let's capture some top political and economic developments of the day. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered that the 109 foreigners linked to activities threatening national security and high-level cyber crimes and hacking be remanded at Kuje and Suleja correctional facilities until the next adjourned date. Justice Ekerete Akpan made the order based on the request by the counsel of the defendants on grounds that the police facility where they are being kept wasn't conducive for the number of suspects. The suspects' arraignment was also stalled due to issues of misrepresentation of names of the suspects on the charge sheets and issues of counsel representation. And on a side note, the Transmission Company of Nigeria says its Ahoada Yenagua 132 kV line, which is currently under repair due to previous vandalism, was again targeted by vandals on Tuesday. In a statement released by its spokesperson, Indi Dimba, on Friday, the TCN said the attack, which affected towers 29 to 31, resulted in the theft of approximately 1/3 of the conductor. The statement said that a team of TCN engineers led by Engineer Emmanuel Akpa, General Manager of the Port Harcourt region, has conducted an inspection of the site. Well, some updates there. Now let's unpack our talking points on daily politics. Nigeria's total debt is set to hit an all-time high of 138 trillion. This comes as the National Assembly approved President Bola Tinubu's loan request of $2.2 billion to partially finance the 9.7 trillion budget deficit for the 2024 fiscal year. Now, President Tinubu is under immense criticism from economic and policy experts on the consequences of his actions. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 elections and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has characterized the loans taken by President Tinubu as burdensome for Nigerians, warning that they will place unbearable strain on the economy. And to set the ball rolling for a comprehensive discussion and analysis on the implication of Nigeria's rising debt profile, let's take an explainer video on the subject put together by Abdullahi Ahmed. Take a look.
In the shadow of rising inflation, economic hardship, and deep public discontent, Nigeria's borrowing frenzy continues unabated. In a dramatic move this week, the Senate approved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's $2.2 billion loan request to partially plug the 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit for the year 2024. This latest approval follows a pattern of aggressive borrowing. In just 16 months, the Tinubu administration has secured $6.45 billion from the World Bank alone, pushing Nigeria's total external debt with the institution to $15.45 billion. From June 2023 to June 2024, Nigeria has taken loans for projects ranging from economic stabilization reforms at $1.5 billion to renewable energy at $750 million and adolescent girls' education at $700 million US. Each initiative is painted as a vital step towards national development, but the reality on the ground tells a different story. Rising debt service costs are strangling the Nigerian economy. Nigeria spent $2.19 billion servicing foreign debts in the first 5 months of 2024, a 96% surge from the same period in 2023. Meanwhile, sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure are crying out for funding, leaving citizens to wonder, where is all this borrowed money going to? For many Nigerians, daily life has become a test of endurance. Fuel subsidies have been removed, pushing petrol prices to unprecedented levels. Inflation has wiped out household savings, while unemployment remains alarmingly high. And now, the government wants more loans, claiming it's the only way to stabilize an already faltering economy. In approving the $2.2 billion loan, Deputy President of the Nigerian Senate, Jibril Barrow, commended the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt for its, quote, thorough examination of the proposal. But for millions of Nigerians, this feels more like political theater than governance. Nigeria's debt profile has grown exponentially. The 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit for 2024 is just the latest chapter in a story of fiscal mismanagement. The loans, while essential to finance critical projects, seem to offer little respite for ordinary Nigerians facing deteriorating living conditions. As debt servicing eats up more of the national budget and borrowing becomes the default solution, one must ask, what is the end game? Can the government truly transform this debt into sustainable growth, or is it merely delaying an inevitable reckoning? With $2.2 billion more added to the pile, the stakes couldn't be any higher. Will Nigeria's leaders steer the country away from fiscal disaster, or are they gambling the nation's future on borrowed time?
Well, a heart-rending video explainer there on Nigeria's rising debt profile. And to analyze these issues, we have here in the studio an economic expert, Yushau Aliyu. He will help us dissect the pros and cons of President Tinubu's $2.2 billion loan. And gentlemen, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you very much.
I was really devastated, with the analysis by...
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to get to know that the situation of our debt has reached over 138 trillion.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount, and looking at the servicing of debt at 9.7.
It's really huge, yes, Yushau.
No, it's huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And viewers, you can also join the conversation from wherever you might be watching this episode through telephone lines a little later on the program. But then here in the studio, I still ask Yushau, how shocked are you with the analysis by Abdullah? You can see he read out figures.
I'm not shocked. I'm an economist. It's like when you are a medical expert and you are in a hospital, you expect different kind of scenarios. This is one of economic scenario that need to be understood by the politician, understood by the stakeholders, and also understood by the people.
All right, we'll come back to that. I think we should go back now to our tidbits. 109 foreigners.
Yeah.
On a personal note, I know I have gone around quite a number of, I know the borders.
Yes.
So for somebody to now actually come in through the land border might not be really easy because of his color and all that. Of course, a Nigerian can come, Chadian and all that, but when you have Vietnamese, you have Chinese and all that.
When you don't,
most likely they came through the airport.
Once you don't have an efficient digital tracking system, you ought to have situation of this nature. You cannot penetrate most of their nations biometrically, and at an instant you register yourself with a visa, you are known that you are moving from point A to point B, and you are being monitored.
But how are they coming to Nigeria?
No, they are coming to Nigeria on an invitation by Nigeria. Remember, all our politicians are going around the world calling investors to come and invest, and they can come in a different form and then practice differently. And that is the behavior of individual in a contestable market which is hit around, coming to exploit situation to become richer and become richer and richer.
What is the attraction?
The attraction is that any system that has very high risks of operation, it has high profit, and those risk takers are coming for a better benefit. And that is why you find them struggling in Nigeria. You have opportunities everywhere from our water system.
Opportunities in Nigeria?
Yes.
How do you mean? Because people are jackpotting.
Remember, even before the colonial masters came, the missionaries that came saw the potential, sold the commitment to British government, and British government came and then exploited agriculture, exploited mining sector, exploited the thing and Columbine mining in Jos. Look at the situation today. It has come at a time when we don't even have immigration policies that can even stop them from coming.
Or we don't use the policies.
No, we don't even have at that time. But
okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So now they have come and established themselves. Some of them have even got nationalism, and they are operating, and they have the right to use that channel to make a lot of them, many of them coming.
From the court papers,
yeah,
they mention cybercrime, hacking, and all that. But, but beyond this, do you think some of these are also into this illegal mining? And
no. You see, it depends on aspect of investigation. That is one. Second, digitalized world is suffering from cybersecurity, and in Nigeria you make more money because the tracking system is not so efficient as other nations, and that is why those who can receive laundering within and outside Nigeria can come and then take part in the market and then see the gateway.
Why is it that people who are responsible for manning our borders,
how many are they? Police. How many are they? And how efficient are they?
Okay, now what I want to say is, because we keep lamenting that we don't have the numbers, but the few ones that are there, if they are not doing the right thing, why are we not punishing them?
Yeah,
because
it is when you get into the system, you understand the porosity where dollars is being attracted. Do you understand? Permit, for instance, in Nigeria is easy.
To get permit to come in.
To get permit to come in and permit to stay. Remember that our visa policy is not very strict
in a way.
And that is why they took advantage of that. You take a visa of 30 days, you come and spend 30 years without anybody checking you. So it is easy. After understanding the scenario, you invite anybody.
Okay, I think we have to rest this one here, considering the time. Now, what is your take about the vandalization of the TCL line? It's like it is becoming a cliche now to even say vandals are.
Our energy sector has been suffering from inefficiencies, from the operators, from the communities, and also from the vandals themselves. This situation, if it is not controlled, through tracking the marketing aspect of this, you cannot get rid of it, because any product that has been tracked on our KBA lines is coming to market. Who are the buyers? That is why you buy.
Okay, any vandalism is actually...
It's ending in the market.
So, I think a week or thereabout, the federal government said they are going to also interrogate the contractors who are fixing some of these vandalized equipment, because they see a kind of complicity. Is that really the way to go, or you think it's just maybe the normal thing in Nigeria? When something happens, just like maybe one dam collapses, you now say, okay, we'll do integrity test. If there is an accident on the road, you say road safety will now start doing tests for drivers, alcohol and all that.
We have all the strategies on ground to track those who are vandalizing our electricity facilities.
You mean we have the equipment?
We have, because at community level, you have night watchmen, vigilantes and others, and you can track. On the road, you can track. In the market, you can track. But there are compromises somewhere. It's not only because the contractors are looking for cheap contracts where they can vandalize. Yes, it's a factor, but how do you give contractors work? What are the qualifications of contractors to work with? These are some of the integrity is one. Do you understand? And also the source of materials that the contractors are using. Who is checking the sources of their raw materials? And
maybe they are also, round tripping. They vandalize the steel, and then government buy again.
W. Rosto, a development economist, emphasized that until we have a change of attitude, there is no development that will come to us. No matter the investment we are putting in energy, in whatever sector, if we don't change our attitude to patriotism.
Okay, it is believed in some quarters that why this vandalism is surging, going up and up, is because communities are not really being taken care of by government. You see high tension passing through your village or through a whole state or through local government, but no light, no electricity in that community. Some believe that there should be a sense of ownership, meaning that even if it is solar that you will give communities, so that you now tell them the reward for giving you this solar is to actually now to pretend over the high tension, protect it and all that. And if anything happens, we'll come and take our solar. Do you think that will work?
Enforcement is what keeps society moving. Enforcement.
Okay.
These are things which government ought to have done. We have to develop a lot of technological devices that are using currently in the world. Drone can monitor.
So if you have drones from the room, you will track whoever.
You track when an illegal activity is taking place. You quickly alert, and it solves the matter.
Okay, well, we get it right. Now over to the subject of the day. Loans and laws. Some people, we have received some letters already, and since when the Senate also approved the tinubu's loan request of $2.2 billion, people are asking questions. Why borrowing when you have removed subsidy, thinking that, because they promise that the savings from subsidy will now be plotted to provide infrastructure to touch the lives of the people. Now, 18 months down the line, subsidy gone, people reeling under poverty, and then more loans. Where are we not getting it right?
From the policy itself, fiscal responsibility commission has to look at the potential of the economy and advise the government of sources of funding of appropriations.
Okay, that is fiscal responsibility commission.
And that is
it's supposed to do that.
Yes, it's supposed to do that.
Is it that they aren't working at it?
No, if it is their recommendation, you cannot just go and borrow because you are Mr. President. The fiscal responsibility is there to guide you. What is the size of your budget? What is the size of your deficit? And what are the sources of your revenue? And how do you augment the deficit? That has to be specific. And that is why medium-term expenditure framework, which was developed, is always guiding all appropriations in the assembly.
But who will check the implementation of the medium-term?
The National Assembly.
Are they doing that?
They are doing it, and you can hear from the Senate that the Senate has done a good work of accepting the recommendation, and they must have followed certain procedural exigencies which has been attended by the fiscal responsibility. And that is why the first thing, before presenting a budget, a national budget to the National Assembly, you present the MTEP, that this is what I intend to do and this is how I intend to succeed. And if it is given an approval, then you now come with a request formally. And that is exactly what the president has done, to come with a request of borrowing, because he has satisfied the condition necessary for him to increase the budget. That is one, to increase the deficit, and at the same time to look at ways and means to sustain the appropriation for the achievement of fiscal year 2025. It is done. We are in 2024.
But is it worth it to borrow 6.4 billion?
Yeah, when you go to that context, Mala Hamza, when you go to that context, you go back to your household as an individual. You first of all, what is your income? How many of your children are attending public school? How many are attending private school? And how much are in the university? And what type of hospital are they attending? And what type of food is your schedule? You check your income. If it is not, then there are credit options around the globe. You go for that. If you go, you take the consequences. Skag and Nelson, in their macroeconomic analysis, stress a point. Every decision you take economically, you have to take the consequences. And that is why today we are taking the consequences. We are not learning from experience. Let me be precise on this matter. If we want to control our borrowing, we control our expenditure, and we control our appropriation. And if you are to succeed on these ones, there are certain macroeconomic parameters that you need to check whether they are working or not. If they are not working, you pay heavier. And that is why today we are paying heavier by borrowing in large sums. Why? Because you have to check your price stability system. I have been saying it times that number. If your economic system is not stable, the prices are not stable, definitely inflation will come in. And if inflation continues to increase, that increase in inflation is reducing the purchasing power of that your currency. And if it is reducing the purchasing power of that currency, then definitely you will need more of that currency to achieve one economic goal.
Something that maybe you can do three things.
Let me break it down for a listener to understand.
And our
in
viewers.
2019, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano Expressway was approved by Federal Executive Council at the cost of 155 billion. But in 2024, the same road network, which almost 60 to 70% completed, you are to spend 740 billion to complete.
This is maybe after they even brought it down, because at the time I think Julius Berger were asking for over 1 trillion.
Excellent. So
and this is what will tell you was given to
exactly. And that is what will tell you what inflation can do to your budgeting system, because the system, the prices refuse to be stable, and therefore you have to pay heavier price.
What Nigerians are asking, and I'm sure as soon as we open the line, callers will still ask you this question. They told us that we are borrowing, we are doing all that because we are subsidizing. For now, everybody, almost all Nigerians pay for their electricity, no subsidy there, to greater extent. Because even those by B, C, D, E, the light is not there. So you have to now buy your own electricity, maybe using solar or generator or whatever. Now, petrol, everybody, nobody is enjoying the where are the monies saved in court from those options?
You know, initially we said, if government is to reduce subsidy, we are expecting government to reduce borrowing.
Yes.
Because removal of subsidy will bring new funds.
Yes.
Which ought to have been used
in
subsidizing product. But unfortunately, like I am explaining to you, when inflation was 22.22% in 2023 January, today inflation is above 34%.
So it has wiped out the
whatever the savings you made, it has been cleared. And that is the price, the consequences of not stabilizing prices. And the job of stabilizing prices has to be with the job of fiscal and monetary authorities.
Well, they said they leave the market forces to the vagaries.
You cannot leave market forces. You cannot leave market forces. You cannot leave your child at the mercy of public. You will mess up.
All right, Yushau. I think we'll open the line now, because it is now time for you to also contribute to this big conversation. Why are we still borrowing after removing all the subsidies? And where are the gains of the removal of subsidy? Where are the gains of earlier borrowings, specifically by the Tinubu administration? And you can contribute by calling the telephone line that will be displayed on your screen. But please avoid using foul language. We are looking for solution. It's not just to come and call people out. Over to you as we await your calls. Yushau, it is believed that most of these borrowings, especially coming from IMF, World Bank, and all that, when you look at some of the provisions, they said they should do supporting the poor. They are not really tied to infrastructure. And we've been doing palliative since May 29, 2023. And that is why people are going for the jugular of IMF and World Bank. And some are even making comparison that other, I don't want to call them, but other options where the borrowings are tied to projects. But in the case of this administration, most of the borrowings, they said they want to just improve the livelihood. But people are becoming poorer. SMEs have been wiped out. You don't see people selling oranges now, people selling bread. Many of them have packed out of the market. Why are some of these borrowings not tied to serious infrastructure that will facilitate the return of prosperity for the people?
Because the borrowings are consuming your new funds in debt servicing. It's a dual-edged sword.
Okay.
When you collect it,
I can see that. He said, is it in this year almost 2.19 billion?
Yes.
To service debt.
To service debt is 8.9 trillion naira. That is 2-point-something billion dollars.
In dollars.
So it's better we call it in naira.
In naira, so that Nigerians will understand the trouble we are in.
The trouble. 9 trillion. Let me show you how you understand the devastation of this high debt servicing figure. In 2014, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan budgeted 4.6 trillion. After 10 years. 4.6 trillion.
That is
2014.
2014, yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, in 2024, we are servicing debt with 8.9 trillion. Twice of what Goodluck Ebele Jonathan did appropriation
in less than 10 years.
In less than 10 years.
About 10 years.
Yes. But what was inflation figure
What
at
is
that time?
precipitating inflation for our
viewers? A lot of factors are involved. Once your population is growing, the size of their income is declining, and at the same time, production is going down, and all economic indicators of growth are going down. Definitely the purchasing power of individual will be reducing, and when their consumption power is reducing, industries that ought to have make more sales will not be producing, and unemployment will rise. And that is why you find yourself in a stagflated economy where you have high inflation, high unemployment, and from there you block trade, you create trade barrier when you don't even know the metric tons you require to put to the table of Nigerians at an income which they are receiving. These are some of the devastating consequences of not understanding why nations import. Let me tell you, we have been getting it wrongly for a very long time.
All right, Malaysia, it's like we have our first caller on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Grigori, welcome to the program.
I'm watching the program that is now running currently.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, problems in Nigeria. Nigerians are, people that steal money and forget even where they kept it. And our country is not considering that. If, assume, the offenders are punished, then this country will be stable economically.
Okay.
But if we look at the whole scenario, you can still pack your money, take it even abroad, and even forget the number of accounts that you have there. And this country will be mute about it. So if we want correction, offenders should be punished, so that whoever that sees the type of punishment that offender took, at least it will correct. So,
okay, are you, yes, Grigori, are you trying to actually establish a nexus between corruption and borrowing? Because we are discussing the level of loans that Nigeria is incurring day in, day out, without actually resolving.
I heard that economist.
Yes.
Talking of what are we doing with the money?
Yes.
Do you believe that some of this money will softly go into somebody's pocket?
Okay, I understand.
And there will be no punishment for that. We are not even reducing the debt that is in Nigeria.
We are procuring more.
For borrowing.
Then what is the way forward?
It has been taken off.
What is the way forward,
Where is the money now? And what are we doing with the money?
Yes, then what is the way forward?
People are suffering in this country for no reason.
What do we do? What do we do?
So
What is the way forward?
Nigeria is blessed with so many resources, but we are vandalizing it.
So we are looking for a solution now. Finally, from you, what do you think should be done? Yes, can you hear me?
Well, yes, I'm
yes. What is the way forward? And you should give this in 30 seconds. Other callers are waiting. Yes. What do you think should be done?
Like what I said. If we borrow money for maybe capital development, let us channel that money for that capital development than to vandalize it.
All right.
So that is my suggestion.
Thank you very much, Gregory. He tried to create a nexus, Yushau, between corruption, which is, actually product of massive stealing, right? And the inability to see the deliverables from borrowing and all that. Do you agree with what he's saying? That corruption
is moral deficiency. Okay. Corruption is moral deficiency, and is diversified. In governance, different. For followership, different. For politicians, differently. But what we are discussing as far as economics is concerned, no matter the level of stealing, do you understand? One thing that remains very serious is accountability and sustenance of good economic policies.
Why are institutions meant to ensure this accountability and good governance? Why are they?
Why they are failing?
Yeah.
We have seen what transpired in many of them under leadership. That is what is transpiring.
All right, we have our second caller in the person of Shamaki. I'm sure from Nasarawa. Welcome to the program, Shamaki. Yes, good evening. We are happy having you today. I'm here with Yushau, an economist, discussing borrowings in Nigeria. Yes.
Now, you see, what system is working in the world? The truth of the matter, the system that is working is only corruption. I recall it's a president when he came in, they said, there's no
yes, Shamaki, two things. Maybe try and reduce the volume of your TV set, or you call back again, because the volume, I mean, yeah, of course, the sound from your end is really rowdy. We can't hear you. Okay, I think you will call again. Okay, we have another one. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Who is on the line? I'm calling from where?
Good evening.
Good evening. We are happy having you.
Alhamdulillah, thank God. Ilori is my name. I'm calling from Niger State.
Okay, you are welcome.
The issue of borrowing has been explained by the guest.
Yes, Yushau.
It's one of the options that the country has to resort to when we find ourselves in the present situation in which we are. And the situation, as I can understand, it's not peculiar to the problem of corruption.
Okay.
Yes. The reason why I'm saying this is that we Nigerians don't know that we have problems. Hardly can you find the most of us that can properly define what the problems are. Because mostly they practice street politics. Street politics does not require anybody to ask questions as to what has led us into where we are. What are we doing wrong that we should stop? What are we supposed to be doing rightly and we should start? Because we have turned ourselves to the nation of a group of people who only like to complain, talk, and not act.
So what is the way forward?
Our patriotism spirit is very low, very poor. Majority of us are there that don't even have faith in Nigeria.
All right.
Majority of us are there that we don't even recognize that when we are talking government, we are also part of the government.
All right, thank you very much.
Those who are...
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I think he's also trying to share the blame between citizens and the government. But I don't know whether you have a different opinion. Going by budget is actually about government, right?
Yeah.
And it's sacred in some climes when you go to some places. Budget must be implemented. If you borrow, you must account for
Hamza
it.
has a budget. I have a budget. My federal government has budget. State government has budget. Local government has budget.
Yes.
We all borrow.
But then what do you do with it?
Excellent. Where you borrow and how you use the borrowing. That is fundamental to economics. What, when, how.
But if I understand, Nigerians are not satisfied with the level of borrowing by government because they don't see
even politicians are not satisfied. Even leaders are not satisfied.
With what? Is it with
the borrowing?
No. What I'm saying is, if government, if I know that I borrowed 1 billion as an individual and I said I will invest it, and I invested it. Next year I realized that the investment is leading to fruition, but I need more. I can go for it. But if I am unable to account for what I borrowed last year, why should I borrow this year?
It's a syndrome. Borrowing is a syndrome.
Then who will checkmate? Because that is why I asked you why did the National Assembly in less than 2 days they now approve the budget?
The consciousness of state might be different with the consciousness of individual within the state. And that is why fundamentally I told you, must you have a budget of 47 trillion in the first instance? Must you create a deficit of 9.7 trillion in the budget? These are very important because fiscal responsibility, you are to generate more revenues. And the first revenue, which is important to you, is that subsidy which was removed.
Yes. So the monies from that loop ought to have been
but unfortunately, I told you,
inflation,
you are not controlling inflation, and the measures to controlling inflation is not yielding result. Therefore, whatever you have, whatever you borrow, will still do little to the economy.
Yushau, why Nigerians are really worried is if you look at the figures now. Once you Google, because I've been Googling, you see they say that output from oil
increases.
Has increased.
Yeah.
Now they said VAT and all that
increases.
Where is the money?
That is what I am telling you. Whatever you generate from anywhere, what you ought to do with 1 billion, you use 10 billion to do it. And it's the same thing. Let me tell you, to come to this, probably I use 10 liters, which I ought to have used
for this program.
To come for this program.
Which is equally becoming a problem because sometimes you call 10 guests, only 2 will actually deliver.
So now, if before I use 2,000 naira to come here, today I'm using 20,000 naira to come here, and that will create a reduction in my capacity in the market. As it affects me, it also affects government interventions anywhere. And you cannot borrow as an individual. You say if you are borrowing to invest, but you don't borrow to consume. If you borrow to consume,
so that is the question we are asking now. Why is the government, continuously borrow, and then consuming what is poison? Because it's really a poison.
Yeah, you borrow, and that borrowing would destroy all your accruals, and that's exactly. Over 90% of the newly generated revenue is going for debt servicing.
But do you think we have other options within Nigeria? Instead of borrowing from outside or even borrow, are there other things that government can do? Of course, people have been overtaxed.
Like
even though they say we are not taxing.
Like I told you,
yes.
No state in Nigeria, only few states that are not being in this disaster. Most of the state governors are facing problem of borrowings.
Is it that they are not looking inwards?
No,
or they don't
no matter
have other options within their state to generate money?
Option A, option B, option C will determine how efficient you are.
Okay, Shamaki is back, Mala Yushau. Okay, Shamaki, quickly, let's hear your thought on this.
It seems I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
I said, no, any system is working. as far as Nigeria is concerned.
No system is
working. The only system is working is corruption. If you recall, when tinubu came on board, he said with the fuel removal, subsidy removal, then people will money. But look at the debt we are seeing, 108 billion for cut along. Where is justice there? Is that how we continue growing in this country? I don't know in the next 2 years or 3 years how this country will look like. It's very, very unfortunate. Thank you for the
All right. Shamaki. So finally, what is the way out?
Yeah, the only way they should stop all this borrowing. They should find another alternative.
Okay.
Generating or producing in the country. That is the only way.
And you need infrastructure, of course, Shamaki. Okay, thank you very much, Shamaki, for your contribution. Yeah, we need to produce in the country, but there are basic things. One of our tidbits here is power. The power is not there. You also need security.
See, even if we produce, Manufacturer Association cried out what they produce is not being consumed because income has been eroded.
Power, yes.
Do you understand? You have to stabilize the forces that will make people's income to be more productive.
What are those forces?
The forces is, first, like I said, and I continue to argue it out, you cannot increase monetary policy rate to reduce inflation.
It's not working.
You can use that economic parameter or that tool, that economic tool, in economics that are using the orthodox and they are complying with the orthodox principle. You cannot bring out dollars from the bank and keep in your house. Do you understand? And expect money not to be circulating. How many? Central bank is the custodian of legal tender. Central bank is a custodian of all currencies. But how we saw in recent times how these dollars are excavated from individual houses. They are not in the market.
They buried them underground.
Now bandits,
they have them.
Bandits are keeping Nigerian currency outside banking vault in large number.
Yes, last week we did a story, of course, when we discovered
so you see,
cash shortages.
And once you have that problem, you say you are controlling MPR for money not to be borrowed. The money is already out. You are only increasing the cost of borrowing. And if I am consuming a product, a sachet of powder milk, which the company borrowed money last 2 months, and you increase the interest rate last month, you will increase the price for me. If you increase this month, you will increase the price on me, and I'll be paying it. And that is eroding my capacity. That's why you find many people are doing without many goods.
Oh my God. Okay, we have Abubakar on the line. Welcome to the program, Abubakar.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Good evening. How are you?
We are good here, and we hope you are also doing well.
Yes, I'm doing fine.
Okay.
I have to talk about this issue.
Okay.
Yes, I have to talk about this debt borrowing.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you see, for as long as we don't have capital punishment for corruption, for as long as we don't have capital punishment for corruption, can you hear me?
Very well. Capital punishment for corruption.
As long as we don't have capital punishment for corruption, people borrow money and people will have money, and nobody is circulating large money is going. Because if we have capital punishment and whoever steals the government money, they will bring that person to book, and when they are going to kill that person, it is the family that will provide the bullet they will use in killing him. So that tomorrow whoever is going to steal government money will look at it the other person that steals money, it was the family that provide bullet they use in killing him. That is that. We have a lot of gold in Zamfara. What is happening to the gold in Zamfara? I want the issue of this gold in Zamfara to be addressed on the TV so that everybody should know. If the oil in the south and everybody is benefiting from the oil in the south, And the goal is that if you are in Nigeria, as soon as you arrive in Dubai or Saudi Arabia, you have Zamfara gold. So if some people are making money or taking this gold out, of what benefit is this? They say anywhere we have economy, anywhere we have what do you call it? Any resources that belongs to the nation, that belongs to the government. The government take control of those resources. Yeah. But what is happening to the gold in Zamfara?
Big question, Abubakar.
We have diamond in people's body. Who is controlling those diamonds? That is why we have this banditry. And for as long as we cannot find ways to fight these bandits or the people, because the people that are creating this banditry is because they are making money.
Okay.
They are taking all these resources out at the expense of Nigerians. And we are not supposed to be poor, we are not supposed to be suffering. Nigerians are supposed to go borrowing money. We were borrowing IMF money 40 years ago or 45 years ago. Nigeria borrowed money for IMF. Why are we going to borrow money from IMF for what? And all this money they are borrowing, what are they doing with it? They borrow money to go and build roads. For what? Of what benefit is that? The road they are building from Lagos to Calabar, they are building that road 17 trillion. Federal government has gone to pay 1 trillion, and you are going to borrow money now to finance budget. Of what benefit?
All right, Abubakar.
Those are the things that they should look at and address.
Thank you. All right. You know, I think Abubakar is tilting towards the question I asked earlier. Are there options for us to look inwards and generate revenue while we try to do the fiscal and monetary things, which actually technical for our viewers? He mentioned Birnungwari, diamond. Zamfara, gold. You have banditry in Zamfara. You have banditry in Birnungwari. And the essence of government is actually to protect the people, right? To provide security.
Crude oil in Bauchi.
And all that. Crude oil everywhere. It's like every other place in Nigeria has one thing or the other to contribute to the national cost. So now, final solution from you. Maybe we should now finalize the conversation along this line.
You see, Hamza, critically, I am of the opinion that the first thing to succeed in an economy is to put people who are masters in these policies.
Round pegs in round hole.
That is one. Two, for the tiers of government to understand their responsibility, and also to look into laws that has made us a nation, federation. So these are some of the things. Finally, budgeting system, which is a subject of concern, has to be well understood by policymakers.
Not just a ritual.
No, not just a ritual. You scrutinize the content of the budget. You look at the critical investment in the budget and the sectoral disposition of the budgeting system. And that is the only way you understand whether to borrow or not to borrow. You cannot borrow to consume. You cannot borrow to execute constituency projects. These are some of the things.
Okay, because there is actually a message here that is it not possible for the Tinubu government to now also give some direction? I mean, when negotiating some of these loans with IMF, World Bank, and others, to say that what we want is not for consumption. We want these loans to, finance electricity infrastructure, to finance good roads and all that. Do you think IMF will agree?
No, you see, the subject is not for IMF to agree. It's the exchange rate of your currency. No matter how you borrow.
It has been depleted already.
If United States borrows dollar, they are borrowing it by the standard of United States. If Saudi Arabia wants to invest and decide to borrow, the real is stable currency. And
for decades. For decades. Like that.
So, and for experience purposes.
But is it difficult for us to also add value to our currency?
We have been helping Saudi Arabia before today.
But they are now helping us.
But Saudi Arabia has to reach a stage where they did a surplus budget, where the total revenue exceeds the expenditure, and with the phantom of their budget. So, but for us, we have to reduce the size of the deficit. It's very important.
All right. This is your last soundbite on the program. Thank you very much, Yushau.
Thank you very much
for your informed perspective.
Thank you very much.
Also for answering some of the questions raised by our viewers.
Thank you.
Yes, and viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics airing every weekday on our special package on Friday, during which we open the telephone line for you to comment on national issues as we did today. We thank all those who call, and for those who tried to call but could not, join us next week for more interesting packages of daily politics. For now, bye-bye from here. I'm Hamza Idris.